Shut up, Evan. God, that's kind of gentle. Shut up, Evan.
And can I gently request that one of them be my boy Rosanov?
Shut up, Evan.
Oh my God.
I'm blushing now after that. Am I turning red?
I've been red the whole time. Connor Story, thank you so much for being here on Shut Up,
Thanks for
Evan.
having me. Yeah.
I feel a lot of anticipation over this interview because we've been thrust into each other's lives. I mean, more me into yours, and I apologize for it. No, you've been in mine on screen.
Yeah.
And so I thank you for making the time to be here today.
Yeah, no, I'm super happy to be here.
You were at it was an L party for the Actor Awards, formerly the Screen Actors Guild Awards. This was a party in the lead up to the awards. Very confusing branding, but you were there last night. It was your first public event with Hudson. Francois was also there. What was it like being out and about in a sea of fellow actors?
Yeah, it was crazy. The amount of people that came up to me and were like, I love your show, by the way. And I was like, I love you as a person. It was crazy. I mean, with the internet being such a big part of thrusting this and having it being seen, it's still surreal, and I still don't fully understand that people outside of, my algorithm have watched it.
Yes.
It was great. It was really great. I had no idea what to expect. That was my first time at Chateau Marmont. Everyone was so lovely. Everyone was so beautiful.
Beautiful people.
Oh, yeah.
Hollywood baby.
Hollywood baby.
Did you know the mythical legend of Chateau Marmont? Because even when I'm there sometimes, I'm always just struck by like, oh, this person died over here, or this person.
Oh, see, I didn't know all that.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you off mic afterward.
I just feel like anything that has chateau in it is automatically haunted, and there's some lore there.
Yes.
So that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, beautiful,
actually.
mythical place. I have a feeling you're going to be there a lot in the future. Now, this is your first time doing a long-form interview.
Yeah.
And as I was preparing for today, I was like, where to begin? And so then I wondered, well, if you were me interviewing you, how would you want to start the interview?
Like this. I feel like we're already conversational. So yeah, the worst question ever is, tell me about yourself, because then you're like, I was born in Colorado, raised in Texas.
Yes. Or sometimes I'll be on the phone with like a friend or a family member, and they'll be like, what's new with you?
Yeah.
And I'm always like, well,
I know. I've kind of been on a kick recently being like, how to make conversations, especially like with all of the press of this and meeting new people. I mean, asking someone where they're from. I actually saw this video on Instagram, and she pops up all the time. I forget her name, but she does like how to be a better speaker or something, or how to communicate more effectively. And she's like, yeah, the two questions you never want to ask anyone is, what do you do and where are you from? And because it's like, that's where everyone instantly turns off.
But they're like icebreakers in a sense, so they're somewhat unavoidable.
Yeah. Just does make the person though, like kind of be like the moment I'm like, I'm from Texas. You're like, oh, what part? Odessa. And they're like, oh, I've never heard of that.
Right.
And you're like, all right.
But then they'll be like, do you know my friend who lives in Austin?
Yeah. And then I'm like, yeah, actually, I do
know your friend. Yeah.
He's my friend.
He's my friend. We're all friends. Okay, so I'm going to be on my phone more than I'd like to be for this podcast, and I'll tell you why. Because I prepared my questions yesterday, but everything about you and this show seems to be happening in real time. I'm sure you're on the receiving end of this, so you can understand that already my questions feel a little out of sequence. This morning, we got the announcement of season 2. But when this airs, episode 5 will be out. So there's the online reaction yesterday when I'm preparing my questions to episode 4. Then hours before we arrived here today, there's the news of season 2, and then obviously the pandemonium from this fandom. But then also we're going to be talking about episode 5.
This sounds like the SAG Awards thing all over, formerly known as.
It was like a whiteboard this morning, and I'm just trying to piece it all together. But I did want to start with a quote of yours that you gave in a recent interview.
Oh God, here we go.
I really liked this quote.
Oh, here we go.
I appreciate confidence, and I just found this quote really affecting. So you did an interview with a Hollywood Reporter. You were asked how you are dealing with all of this, which is no knock at the Hollywood Reporter whatsoever, but that's a little bit of like a how are you question, in the sense of like, it's overwhelming.
Right, totally.
Yeah. Anyway, but you responded by saying, I don't know how to say this without sounding like an asshole, but I think as an actor, I've always wanted to work at a really high scale. I think every actor does, if you want to be an actor on some level. I think there's something about wanting what you do to be seen and be exposed and reach people. I've wanted to be an actor since my mom always says that since I could speak. I've always been like, that's me on the TV. I've always seen that for myself. For it to finally manifest and to be reaching people in that way, this is what I wanted, so I can't really be too shocked when it happens.
Yeah.
Wait, why are you cringing at that?
No, I'm not cringing. I'm just like, I'm just like remembering that. Cause I mean, so many of these interviews have happened like on top of each other,
Yes.
you know? So I'm like, what did I say when? Yeah, that I stand by that, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's true. I've always wanted to be an actor, and I think that verbiage of wanting to be an actor is really exemplary of what the job kind of is,
Yes.
you know, because being an actor for me looked like, you know, wanting it my entire life, waiting until I was old enough to drive myself to these crazy auditions and go to these cattle call commercial things and go to student films and this, that, or whatever, and work in restaurants for like 8 years. So yeah, I mean, but you do that in hopes that the vision you have for yourself works out. And, you know, it's just freaking crazy that right now it's working out. I fully believe in the idea of energy and manifesting. And so if I am thinking about where I want to be for the last 25 years, you know, once you finally kind of start getting there, it's like, yeah, I worked really freaking hard for that.
What I liked about the quote is I think a lot of times when people think about success, especially in the field of acting, it's like finding projects that are really meaningful, whether it be for the actor or for audiences. But part of what's, you know, in the alchemy of success is exposure, right? And so when you have a show like this that's getting so much traction, so many people are watching it, so many people are talking about it, it allows this meaningful work that you're doing to be seen on a grand stage. And ultimately, I would imagine if you're an actor, you want as many people to see your work as possible. You want to touch people, and in order to touch people, you have to be exposed to people.
Right. And that in acting, film and television specifically, and also theater, but that creative process literally exists to be witnessed, you know? Like, yeah, you can act alone in your room in preparation for something, but really acting is, we do it to film, to be watched, to be experienced by something else, you know? Like other art forms like painting, you can love to paint because you love the act of painting, and that painting doesn't necessarily have to be seen by anyone to be a painting, you know? But something like a TV show or a movie, I mean, you are literally putting on a show for with the intention of it being watched. So when it gets watched, it's like, it's you're doing the thing, you know?
How do you compartmentalize this idea of like, so there's the show itself and there's the making of the show. Then the show comes out, right? And there's this pre-existing fan base for the show that are fans of the book and that have this deep love and connection to this book. Then the show premieres, and there are people like me. I consider myself, I'm new here. You know what I mean? Because we started recapping the episodes on my other podcast, Drop Your Buffs, and we quickly learned from the fan feedback that there's little things that like we weren't picking up on because I'm in the process of reading the book. I'm late, you know? I'm not proud.
Yeah.
But so you have these longtime fans of the book and their expectations around the series. Then you have these new fans that are seeing the show. And so what has it been like for you holding on to the memory and everything that you know to be true about this process while also consuming everyone's interpretations of this thing that you made?
Everyone who loved the book has been nothing but supportive, which I think is like the first pillar of success for this entire project. It's been interesting because I feel like the book people, they're watching it contextually, right? It's just funny. They point out things that are important in the books, and then you have a whole set of people that are pointing out things that have nothing to do with the books. Right. You know, it's been interesting because I think the audience that hasn't read the book is really into the spiciness of it all, is really into the sex and the tension and the everything, whereas the people who have read the books, they know where it goes, so they see all of that as this like really emotional journey of like how we get there.
Yeah.
You know, it's been really interesting to see these sort of two worlds of like Some people love the characters and their dynamic and what that means, and then some people are just really into the entertainment of it all. I think it's good to let those two things exist, you know, like, because I think sometimes it's easy to comment on something like this and make it just about entertainment or just about art and you know, thematically what it means and what it represents. But those two things get to exist simultaneously.
Yes.
And that's why something like this, I think, is doing well and has so much reach.
Yeah. I've also been really heartened by how much the longtime fans of the book have embraced the newbies like myself. There's a level of, I know I felt this before with things I love. I can be a little gatekeepy.
Totally.
You know,
Me
when
too.
it comes
Yep.
to inviting people into a fandom that I feel like I, you know, shepherded or was like, you know, on the ground.
It's your baby.
You know,
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they've been so lovely. And that's made, I think, fans, the newer fans like us, feel like, okay, like we're all coming together. We're maximizing the power of our joint sleigh. But it's also been really interesting to me too, because this fandom is like they know about things that I don't know about, but then tick my interest. So for instance, I saw episode 6 was called Cottage. I knew cottage meant something in the world of Heated Rivalry. And yet when we first get this mention in episode 5 of the cottage, I felt like a tick go off for me as a fan of this thing that I didn't even really know about, but I knew this meant something. I had a similar reaction in episode 4 with the tuna sandwich.
Right.
At the moment the refrigerator opened and you're going to make it, I'm like, I know this is lore. I don't know the lore, but I know it's lore.
I know. I was thinking about that because I'll see people make videos or something where they're commenting on like, and then he brought out the tuna melt, and then I'm like, yeah, that's an iconic part of the book, like that has, or like stupid Canadian Wolfbird, like that means
I'm gonna
nothing.
get dinged right now because I said tuna sandwich, and the fans, it's like it's tuna melt.
They're with it. They're with it. No, they're like, yeah, they're like, oh, he's trying.
He's trying. Yeah,
He's making it work. But yeah, I was thinking about that because also I see videos sometimes of people being like, oh, y'all thought Ilya was mean, and then after episode 4, you see that he actually really cares, and I'm like, it's so interesting because from the book, it's like that opinion is polar opposite because they have so much more context. But it's cool that it works both ways, you know, because there's a world in which that totally didn't work,
right?
You know, where like you have to have the book in order to get the full experience, but that hasn't been the case,
right? But then now with episode 5, because I'm gonna have to jog your memory a little bit because I just saw it,
yeah,
and I know it kind of, I imagine all sort of seems like one giant blob, and you have to sort of figure out what slots where. But we have this amazing scene with your character Ilya on the phone with Shane, and Ilya wants to express himself and how he's feeling, and so Shane says, you know, just speak in your native language, Russian. And so we have this, what I thought was just going to be a few lines, but is in fact like this complete emotional, not word vomit. It's just like this, he's just speaking a truth to Shane, but with the understanding that he couldn't possibly understand, and he doesn't, and yet his expression is such where he's hearing him and understanding that Ilya's opening up to him, and so he's receiving it even though he doesn't know the specificities of what's being said. Can you talk about crafting that scene? Because that was...
Well, that was another crazy kind of manifestation moment in a weird way. I remember I used to have like visions of doing a monologue in the snow to that song that Jacob ended up choosing for that moment. And so I saw that during an ADR session. I saw like half of that. So that was when I saw the final product, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. I actually haven't seen episode 5 in the context of this episode yet. So it's
spoiler
weird.
alert, it's very good.
There we go. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I mean, I spent weeks working on the Russian dialogue with my dialect coach for that. Yeah, that's one of the coolest parts to me. I mean, that is such a dream for me. I love languages. I love accents. I literally, when I was little, I used to take monologues and I would like put them into like Mandarin Chinese and try to memorize them, or like Russian or French, given they were like very grammatically incorrect. So I kind of got to just do that in real life. And that monologue, I mean, it's so funny because I feel like a lot of people talk about the chemistry between Hudson and I, or the characters, or the romance. And I feel like I am really, not to knock any of that, but I am really locked into Ilya's journey. And I mean, he's got so much personally going on. Suicidal mother found mom's body, family tries to keep it hush hush, has to lie his entire life about what actually went down, father develops dementia, subsequently dies. Brother is like a coke addict, like, corrupt person, comes from post-Soviet Russia. Like, there's so much that goes on in that character. And we get to really see that. And I think that informs so much of his behavior towards Shane. Yeah, I think the character is a lot deeper than you might think at face value, like this like macho kind of cocky Russian guy. It's like, no, like there's some shit going on,
God, like an onion. I mean, we're
and that wraps it all up, and then at the end of that, him admitting that he's in love with this man is.
Well, I'll get to that in a second. But first, on that monologue, though, because I was really struck by the line, "It was always you." Mm-hmm. There was something about that line that was very penetrating. Was there a line in the monologue that really stuck with you, or that you felt a sort of a stronger connection to?
Yeah, it's funny because doing it in Russian, there's something about and this is why I love languages. There's something about when you say something in a different language, it has like more weight to it or something. It's like there's certain expressions that you say, and I'm trying to think of something like in French, like c'est la vie, like means like that's life, but it has like a different sort of connotation and vibe to it rather than us just saying like that's life, because it can kind of be like, well, that's how the cookie crumbles, or I remember in the monologue, они высасывают из меня силы как вампиры, and it's like they suck my power from me like vampires. And I just think that's kind of the essence of the whole thing, which is like him coming from that part of the world and feeling so undervalued or underseen and just used, like the world just using him up and having to give everything he has to the world outside of him. I feel like that's the best part of the monologue for me.
I have to say, just by you bringing Rosanov, bringing Rosanov into the room right now,
they're gonna cancel you.
I know. I fucked up with the tuna sandwich and the tuna melt. It's like I'm over by now. I'm sorry, book fans.
They love you, and you get the stamp of approval automatically.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Well, your cosign I think is meaningful in that. But even you just bringing him, I felt his presence here all of a sudden. And I think you are just. I have to tell you, I love the show for a lot of reasons, and a lot of the reasons why everyone else is connecting with it. But I think what really had me hook, line, and sinker, I think these performances from you and Hudson are like astounding. I texted my co-host for Drop Your Buffs that we do the recaps on, and I said, I'm like, fuck. I just was like, episode 5. I'm like, Emmys immediately. I just was like, these performances are really something. And I know people are connecting with so many aspects of this show, but I hope that people really are able to look at, what the two of you are doing and the work you're doing. And obviously, I know we can talk about the chemistry between you, and it is certainly there. But I think, and really present in this episode especially, the humanity that you're bringing to this character. And as you said, we meet him, and it's easy to, as a viewer, have these assumptions of who he is, because that is a part of him. He is this arrogant, cocky guy, right? It's sure, it's a mask. The masks that we put on to move through this world, they become part of who we are. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And yet I felt like we were able just to like go to places in this episode that were just astounding.
Yeah, it's funny. This whole process has been so interesting because all the press that we've talked with, I mean, the go-tos are, our chemistry or the spice, this, that, or whatever. But I agree with you. I think 5 and 6, it's cool. Jacob did this really interesting thing, I think, with the edit, the speed, because there's so much time jumping up the top. I always mess up that off the top from the jump.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like it's so fast and like cutty and just like glinty and just like boom, 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 and then every single episode it kind of slows down and we get like deeper and deeper
and longer scenes, it seems like, as well.
Yep, which is reminiscent of their connection and their journeys individually and together. So when people started being really complimentary, episodes 1 and 2 for Hudson and I, episode 3 is more Francois and Robbie. Yeah, I just keep being like, wait until 5 and 6.
Wait until.
Yeah, at least for me, I'm kind of a gooey romantic when it comes to all of that stuff. But that's where the real acting and the real person-on-person moments and the real grit of it comes out.
Well, let's talk about those final moments of episode 5, because I saw a tweet. I think like I've even seen like journalists, maybe myself included, going a little bit like more, using a little bit more hyperbolic language than we typically do, because I find myself, it's like, yes, I'm a quote unquote journalist and I have that integrity of sort of like holding the line and everything, but I'm also a fan. And so I saw a writer online that had seen episode 5 and I think couldn't help but express the fact that like, just wait until those final moments of episode 5. So I'm like, all right. Like I say the same thing about, God knows what. We'll see. Let me be the judge.
About God knows what.
Then we're on the ice with Scott. The music kicks in and I'm like, okay, something's about to happen. Oh my God. I'm up out of my seat at that point. But then we get that moment at the end where both you, Ilya, and Shane up off the couch. I'm like, what the fuck are they going to go and do now? On the phone, and then we have Ilya call him up and deliver. It felt like an atom bomb to me, hearing him say that. And again, I don't know the books, and I'm sure if you're a book viewer, like, how are you even holding yourself together?
Yeah.
But what was that moment like for you?
As you were saying that, I was kind of walking through that visually in my mind. And what stuck out to me, one, I think that's brilliant. I think it's so cool. I think it also gives so much. It lets people instantly know why Scott and Kip are all of episode 3.
Yes.
Like, you need all of that context for that to hit and land. And I just think that's really cool from almost a production side to have like these two parallel storylines when they converge. I think is really cool.
Especially because the fans didn't know that was going to be the case.
It heightens everything. The book fans are like, oh my God, we get to see both so that this happens. So it's a win-win for them. And then anyone who's watching the show has a moment of like, what the hell? Who are these guys? Where are we going with this? And then it means so much more, But I remember the filming that day because I have like 3 friends there and Svetlana's there. And the actors that they had play my friends that kind of just chill there during that scene and watch the game with us. They were actually Russian. A lot of the background that I was involved with were actually Russian. So it's so bizarre and embarrassing to show up and like speak half Russian with this crazy accent. And then like they try to talk to me and then I'm like, я плохо говорю по-русски. Like I'm not Russian, And I remember them being there and I have to like have this reaction and they're just like out of it the whole time, just like eating popcorn
Watching
and
the
stuff.
game.
Yeah, exactly. Because we filmed that the same day we filmed this sort of compilation of my reactions over the years as I'm watching Shane win games. He watches me win, blah, blah, blah. And there's like this moment where I have to like kind of throw popcorn up and be like, and very like cornily be like, oh, it should have been me, like pretending to be upset about it. And it's like, I think in the script it's like they all laugh and like enjoy together. And I just remember doing this like big show and like turning to my friends and they're all just like, and I'm like, alrighty then. Like really alone here. Yeah, I don't know why that stuck out to me when you brought up this really beautiful moment.
Listen, it's an open floor. Coming to the cottage is interesting to me because I saw Hamnet recently, and in Hamnet, you have this line where Will Shakespeare says, to be or not to be, right? He's giving you the moment that we came for. And I felt similarly in hearing Ilya deliver this line, I'm coming to the cottage, because again, I'm going to keep saying it, new here, but I knew in that moment that was a significant line for fans to hear. And I'm wondering how you approach that as an actor when you know that there's a group of people that have an expectation about this moment having a weight.
Right. To be completely honest, and I don't mean this in a bad way, my expectations were that from having seen adaptations be kind of torn apart online previously, I'm a firm believer. I'm very optimistic, but I'm also a firm believer in like what is it called? Like optimistic nihilism. Accept the worst, but expect the best. If I can accept the worst case scenario and be like, no, I'm still going to sign up to do this, then it's a go ahead. Yeah. So I went through this entire process, even if it sounds pessimistic, accepting the worst case, which is that They're going to hate my performance. I'm so wrong for the part. It's going to be torn apart by people who love the book. And be like, well, if that were the case, all I can do is really try to give an honest performance, and trust that, Jacob knows the story well enough to bring the right moments to it. So for moments like that, yeah, I think I had some ideas about trying to really play to the book off the top, but Jacob just knows that book. He knows that story like the back of his hand. So and I read the book like twice, read all the scripts a million times. So it's just about really feeding into the reality and hoping that you're plugged into the right thing. And then hopefully that resonates,
Right.
I don't think you can get too much into trying to please the fans or something, or honestly, I think with acting or art in general, like trying to feed too much into what you think other people want is kind of the death of anything that's actually, humane and inspiring.
I would say beyond art. I would say just in general.
Yeah.
Trying to be what other people want from you
Nope.
is never going to
Nope,
give
nope,
you
nope.
anything of meaning.
Because humans are energetic beings, and
Yes.
we can feel that stuff.
Yes, I feel your energy.
Yep.
Yes. Now, I have a couple people that also wanted to be here today but couldn't, but that I wanted to bring into the conversation. One of whom you know personally. This is me again. I said I was going to be on my phone a little
God,
bit. So first I was going to say our friend. I won't be so presumptuous. Your friend and your co-star, Hudson Williams.
Oh God. What?
Hello, Evan and Connor. This is my question. How has your time in Odessa, Connor, informed you as an artist? How does that play into your life as an artist now?
Oh, you know what it really did set me up for is moving to California and seeing people who have a lot of wealth and resources. Wow, this is taking kind of a dark turn. It showed me how people who have everything are actually way more sad than people who have absolutely nothing.
I think that's Hollywood in a nutshell.
Yeah, but it's like, because I went to the second half of high school in the suburbs, like an hour and a half outside of LA, and in a pretty opulent area, like kind of next door to where we were living. And yeah, I just remember like the problems that kids would have. I remember being like, oh, I'm from Texas where, people have nothing, and like the drug that the bad kids are doing is like meth. You know what I mean? Like this very intense, gritty human experience. And then you come out here where I go to parties and these kids have like, these like $10 million houses where they have like 10 bedrooms and they have everything. And these kids have like Corvettes and G-Wagons in high school, and they're so sad. And everyone does like Xanax and drinks at these parties, and it's just like, whoa, on paper, this shouldn't be happening. Yeah. And I just think that's a really interesting social thing. I write in my that's also something I do instead of acting, writing and directing. And I see that a lot in my creativity, is this dichotomy of like people having everything, but feeling nothing. And then people having nothing and just being so full of life and joy.
So what came first for you, the desire to write, act, or direct, or was it kind of all in tandem?
What's funny is I realized recently that I think ever since I was itty bitty, I always wanted to make my own stuff. But I think somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that I couldn't make my own stuff until I had a certain amount of money or I had a certain amount of recognition. And I realized only within the past like year and a half, 2 years that that's not the case. Like you can't wait for something to happen to do something, because if you're like throwing these seeds into the future, that's like a cycle, and then you'll actually never get there. This will happen when, but you never get to when if you're like right here, right now, So it's like, oh, that's the paradox. You just have to do it now, regardless.
Obviously, it's so exciting to be a part of a hit show for all the obvious reasons, but in hearing from you now, it's like the possibility of what this can bring about and the exposure to other interests of yours, and kind of this being like a vehicle to help get you to these other opportunities feels kind of remarable.
Yeah, it'll literally make me cry if we talk about it too much.
Cry?
No, no, I mean, it's like truly, it's I'm literally getting emotional right now. Yeah, I just feel really, really honored and blessed, and yeah, it's what I've always wanted, and it's starting to happen, and It just feels really important to me, and again, I just feel really honored that people are really nice to me on that level.
It's good to be nice.
Yeah.
It's important to be nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I want to bring another guest onto you. This is a fan of yours and a fellow HBO star.
Oh God, here we go.
Hey Connor, Hannah Einbinder here. Major fan of yours. Loving Heated Rivalry. Big time. I wanted to ask if you can talk about some queer performances, queer films, queer television shows, you don't have to say mine, that have been inspiring to you. And as a person, but also relative to Heated Rivalry and your work in the show, which is superb. Really, mazel tov and congratulations.
Wow, this is crazy. I love how I just instantly cried and then you just overwhelmed me even more. Yeah, so queer shows, movies that have been inspiring. It's, you know, what's funny is I see a lot of people say online that Heated Rivalry is what they wanted Challengers to be.
I have seen that as well. Yes.
Yeah, I think Luca has done a lot of really cool stuff in the past few years, things that I would really be interested to be a part of. Especially, what was the one that he just did with Daniel Craig?
Queer.
Yeah, Queer. I love how
Don't
it's
be going to
literally
preempt
called.
my next question, though.
Oh. See, we're psychically connected. It's happening. Just because I think he does something that's really cool. I think with a lot of queer stories, I think it can be kind of, it's really easy to kind of get into the capitalism of all of it. And I think that's something that, why I think this show is so well liked, is I think it's not grabbing at anything to try and get anyone's attention. Like, I think it actually deals with people who are going through something that people can relate to, rather than being like, I don't know, a cash grab or something. And I think he does a really good job at making queer stories that feel really human, because they're kind of, they have a lot of sadness to them. Like Daniel Craig's part in that movie is
God.
about like
Heartbreaking.
Like that movie became something totally different when I realized halfway through that this is about the loneliest person in the world, you know? And it's like, if that's not an experience that a lot of people can relate to, then I don't know what is. Yeah, so Luca does a lot of cool, he just has so many different angles that queerness can be seen through. That's really inspiring.
Have you seen Queer as Folk?
No, but I remember auditioning for, they revamped that.
They did a reboot of it.
Yeah.
But I mentioned Queer as Folk because when I was watching the show, I feel like, and I think some people watching and listening will relate to this, I felt like that this show, Heated Rivalry, is going to be what, for people of my generation and older, what Queer as Folk was, which was, I remember in the pilot episode of Queer as Folk, both the UK version and the American version, there is a very explicit sex scene, not dissimilar from the ones we see on Heated Rivalry. And it's a really lengthy sex scene, not dissimilar to the ones we see on Heated Rivalry. And I remember like the paradigm shift that was for me as a young person, seeing two gay people enjoying gay sex, and not just sort of like a cutaway and not just a quick, like, we really saw the mechanics. That's another great thing for me about Heated Rivalry, is really getting to the minutia of like how gay sex works, right? And like, you know, I love this moment. It's episode 1, right? Where it's like, first Shane goes down on Hollander, and I was like, wow, great sex scene. Okay. But then it's like, no, we're not done here, because did I just say Shane and Hollander?
Yeah, I thought you meant, yeah. But
Sorry.
Yeah, Shane and Ilya.
It's like
Shane goes down on Rosanov. Yeah.
Shane, it's like the first names and the last names. Oh my God, the fans are gonna be.
No,
okay.
I think they get it.
Okay, so
They
we've
get
got
it.
Rosanov going off. We've got Hollander.
Rosanov going off.
We've got
Rosanov getting off.
Hollander going down on Rosanov. And then I'm like, okay, great scene. Love
Right.
that. But then you have Rosanov being like, no.
Yeah.
Let me finish the job and finish the job.
Yeah.
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 I don't have a question. I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's it. Jacob did a really good job of, if you look at a lot of those scenes and how we shot them too, like, it was a lot of wides, which is not easy when it comes to nudity, because you're kind of like, you know, it makes our choreography really like, make your leg go up like this, like have your elbow like that, you know? but yeah, we breathed in those moments for a really long time, which is reminiscent of sex. I mean, when you're with someone, you know, it's not just like, bam, damn, thank you, ma'am, and then it's like over and out.
Right.
At least I hope it's not that way for most people.
Right, I
but
hope so too.
yeah, so it's the kind of the start and the stop and the reset and the talk and the this and the that. And
Yes.
it's cool to see that.
Yes, and I like the fact that we get to see so many variants of sex scenes on the show between them, because I think it also informs like who they are and their kind of intimacy, and we see how their relationship develops through their intimacy. On that note, I have a question. So there was a still that was released of episode 4 of the two of you in the shower that we did not see in the episode, and in my mind I'm like, okay, maybe that's episode 5, but we didn't get it. Is that a deleted scene?
No, it's not a deleted scene. That was a pickup from during a montage, I think in episode 2. There's a montage and you see imagine if I fucked up the names too. I was like, Rosenoff sucking Ilya off. You see my character giving Hudson's character head in the shower. That was like a pickup of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I guess they just used a still from that, but it wasn't a deleted scene. It was more like
Got it.
photo op. Because that shower was sexy, so we had to use the hell out of the shower.
You're telling me. At a recent appearance at High Tops, you thanked fans for tweeting about your and Hudson's butts.
Yeah.
And then in an Entertainment Weekly article, you said that you'd seen someone online say that you are America's ass.
Yeah.
For me, growing up, Brian Phillippe in Cruel Intentions defined America's ass, and I feel like you are taking that.
Wait,
and
we see his butt in Cruel Intentions?
You sure do.
When?
Changed my life. It's when him and Reese Witherspoon are in the pool together.
Oh, yeah.
And he walks on out, and there's a shot of his butt, and I know people say like, this is the thing that made me gay. We use that terminology a lot. That is the thing that absolutely made me gay. And I was actually, not to make this about me, but I was at a party with him last night, and we met for the first time in person, and I was like, listen, I'm not to be that person.
You're like this the whole time.
Yeah, but I'm like, you are responsible for my sexuality, so thank you. But anyway.
He was like, awesome, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, and you are, thank you so much. I'm going to go this way. But we've obviously seen a lot of praise on your butt, but do you feel like people are not giving enough attention to your pecs? I feel like all of the conversation has been butt.
Yeah, it's been weird. It's funny because I made that comment being like, thanks for tweeting about my butt, when I thought it was just, I knew that it was like going off because I rarely go on Twitter.
I love that about you, by the way.
Yeah, it's just you know how some people can't drink just because their brain chemistry really responds a little too well to that, so they're like, okay, that's a slippery slope. That's with me and like being online. It's like whatever the dopamine algorithm thing they do, it gets me good. So I have to watch myself sometimes.
That's amazing, but I think this speaks to your constitution of character, because I think it's very easy to get sucked into this. I'm sucked into it, right? And it's just like, I understand that once you see one, and as you said, the way the algorithm works, it's going to keep feeding what you want.
Yep.
So the fact that you are willfully avoiding it, I think is really smart.
I like to engage to be informed, especially since like my presence is growing in that, and it leads me to cool connections and people like you. But yeah, when it comes to like kind of mindless chatter from just a bunch of people who have one thing to say, it's like, it can be a lot, but yeah, the butt thing is interesting because I did not think that was going to happen. I thought everyone would talk generally about the sex, but I didn't think people would specifically like take pictures of my butt, like gifify it, and then it go from there.
Yeah. I mean, I do an annual, I call it my Burned in the Brain image list that I release on Instagram at the end of every year. And I got to say, like, when I've seen 5 of the 6 episodes now. When I think of like the image of the show that I think sort of is the defining image of Heated Rivalry S1, it would be that initial reveal of the two of you in the shower, because I didn't know what kind of show I was going to be watching. It's Thanksgiving. I'm with a bunch of my friends. I'm like, oh, I heard about this new gay hockey show. Let's put it on. And that shot is really the off to the races shot in which you say like, oh, this show is it's that.
Right. It's also just so funny because I was talking about this with Hudson last night. It's so bizarre that this is seen as so like spicy, because we remember doing that, and so we remember like seeing each other that way. So it's kind of like, it doesn't feel like a reveal, maybe, I guess it's kind of the sex equivalent of like filming a death scene and then watching someone die, like if I watch Like if I think of like, you know, like my part in the Joker Folie à Deux, like that's not shocking to me because I remember like having to stab him 10 times,
Right.
you know. I guess it's the sex equivalent of that. Like I watched that and I'm like, oh wow, and then everyone's like, oh my god, the butt, you know. And I'm like,
Thank you for bringing up Joker Folie à Deux. Favorite Lady Gaga song?
ooh. Well, if my best friend Bailey was here, who's in my new movie, she would tell you this story of we were. Oh God, this is so embarrassing. We were driving around in her car in high school, and "Brown Eyes" by Lady Gaga. Do you know that song?
Dude,
came
I
on?
know that song.
Yeah, so that was a big song in my household when I was little, and that song came on, and it was the first time in like 10 years that I had heard it, and I just started like weeping for no reason. And she was like, "You cried to Brown Eyes by Lady Gaga?"
Wow, can I just thank you for giving a deep cut? Because there's an answer to that question where you go for an abracadabra or a paparazzi or what have you, which I would appreciate, and I wouldn't, you know, think any other thing, you know, think badly. But Brown Eyes.
Yeah, I
That's
was
a good
a big fan of her growing up because she was a weirdo, and that was kind of my shtick.
You're a
was
little
like,
bit of a weirdo.
I am, and so I felt very like this is cool.
Yeah, amongst your people. I want to bring in the fantastically talented Andrew Scott, who has a question for you.
What?
Hello, Connor. It's Andrew here. Congratulations on the show. So my question for you is, all actors have other performers that they admire and look up to from childhood or from the start of their career. And I'm just wondering who that might be for you. And if you have any plans ever to do theater or where you see yourself going after this enormous success. Happy holidays and hi, Evan.
What the fuck? Oh my God. Wow, that's crazy. That's actually really crazy. I love him. I used to work out at the Equinox.
West Hollywood?
Yeah, and I used to see him all the time. Never got up the courage to say hi.
Maybe now you will. I'm going to connect you two after this.
That's crazy. Wow, that's really, really crazy. What was the question?
There were multiple, but let's have you answer just performers that you emulated when you were a kid, or actually, if I want to reframe the question a little bit, that you emulated and maybe want to work with now that you're...
I was always into like the Buster Keaton sort of thing. I was kind of like, you know, super old school, just the kind of like vaudevillian thing. Who am I really loving now? I still cannot believe that happened, that man knows who I am. That's crazy.
I think a lot of people know who you are.
That does not make sense to me at all.
That's okay, though. It making sense to you, I don't think would do anything for your brain chemistry. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Nothing
like
good.
2 weeks ago, this was not at all the situation.
It's a
I
crazy
was in.
ride. Life's crazy.
It's crazy, dude. It's really crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. I love Cate Blanchett. Sophie Wilde. I love Sophie Wilde so much. Yeah. I think she's, first of all, the most beautiful person on the planet. Second of all, I just like, I see her having the coolest career ever.
Give me one more.
Growing up, I really liked Jack Nicholson because I feel like we both kind of have the same like eyebrow thing, you know? Like I realize when I talk, I kind of do that. There's someone else that needs to come out, and I can't remember.
See,
what
even when
it
you
is.
just did that just now, I'm like, you are a fucking actor. Like, I'm just like, you brought him into the room all of a sudden. Okay,
yeah.
well, we'll put a pin in this for now. I hope this is part one of a part two.
Hell yeah.
I just want to end by just congratulating you. Again, this show is phenomenal. I love a big cultural moment like this. I love how exciting it is watching people have something to love. I need not tell you, it's a miserable world out there right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to hate about the world, about society, maybe even about the entertainment industry. And what you are doing on this show and what this creative team is bringing forward is joy for a lot of people. And that needs to be celebrated and taken seriously. So I just want to really, like, from the heartfelt place, say, like, thank you for everything that you've done for these fans and for giving us this show.
Yeah, and thank you for, first of all, I'm so overwhelmed by everything you just said, and I'm so thankful. Also, thank you for being, like, genuinely really supportive of this and genuinely giving it so much thought and care. And I think you're a huge cultural help in so many ways. And yeah, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Does that mean you're in for part 2?
Duh. What are you talking? I want to do it right now.
Thank you so much. A pleasure.
Seriously, thank you. Wow, you made me kind of cry like twice. I got
Wow.
twice. You did not think that was gonna happen, did you?